Come on in, come on in. Come on, come on. If you're not busy protecting your house from the impending hurricane, come on in. Give everyone a couple minutes to join. I'm gonna enjoy my beverage here. I should get some intro music or something to play while I'm waiting for everyone to come in. Let's see. Where's my chat at? All right, YouTube is green. Everything's green, looking good. Numbers are starting to come up. Come on, fill up the arena. Come on in. Come on in. We have ushers that'll help you into your seats over there. I see some seating back up in section Q-ish. There's some seating up there. Come on in. Show's about to start. We already got Mitch Connor in the chat. What's up, Mitch? Welcome to the Weekly Narrative. Evil Company. Miles. What's going on, guys? Come on in. We got some fun stuff to talk about today. I took last week off. It was Labor Day. So in honor of Labor Day, I did no labor at all. And I thought about it, and I'd been doing these live streams for like 6 months straight or something like that. Every single week, at least once a week. And I only missed like 2 or 3 because I was sick or I had something else going on. So I'd take one day off, just one. And it's getting a little tough actually to come up with good quality content for you guys. But I think I got some today, so we're gonna go over that. Come on in as we get seated. As you'll see in the title of the video down below, right down here, we're gonna be talking about Brett Kavanaugh. Not Brett Kavanaugh, actually. We're not gonna talk about him at all. We're gonna talk about the hearing, more specifically, a 1 second occurrence during that hearing in which a female seated behind Brett Kavanaugh made this hand signal. Yeah, we're gonna be talking. So that's news. You know, that's newsworthy. We're gonna be talking about that. Some chick did this, and Jim Carrey went on Bill Maher's show. Not sure if you guys saw that, but he had some interesting things to say about socialism. So we're gonna go over that. Miles says, every day during vacation, I was like, I'd rather watch Jeremy. And you missed 3 more. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Sorry. We'll get your fix in here with an hour straight of me talking, which is hard enough for me to do. All right, so I know I need to do more street interviews. There's no protests to go to. There's nothing good going on out there. I want to get out there, but number one, I don't have a cameraman. I don't have a reliable cameraman. Number 2, I need to upgrade another piece of my camera equipment, and then I'm going to be out there again. So let's get into it. So you guys may have saw some news regarding Zina Bash. Zina Bash. Now I'm gonna use the Washington Post for this source, just so you guys know that I'm being fair and balanced. Don't sue me, Fox News. All right, let's pull this up. Pull up the Washington Post article. There it is. Zina Bash moved her hand, and the resistance, hashtag resistance, saw a white power symbol. Then she did it again. Oh my God. She did it not once, but twice. So I just want to preface this by saying that I don't care about the Kavanaugh hearings at all. 0. Actually, my caring level is probably like a negative, because all these hearings are a chance for all these politicians to grandstand and basically say, hey, look at me, look at how good I am, and look at how much I'm standing up for your values. Like Cory Booker's trying to release private emails, just retarded stuff, okay? I'm going to be dropping some hard R's today. I'm sorry about that first one. I gave you without a trigger warning. By the way, I'm also drinking coffee, so we're on a stimulant today instead of a depressant. Could be a whole game changer. So you guys may know the white power symbol, which is this, right? Because this is supposed to be a W, and then this is a P. I can't even do it very well. I wouldn't make a very good white supremacist. There you go, like that. This was a, not a conspiracy, but a hoax, essentially cooked up by 4chan. 4chan is the cesspool of the internet where all of the really super nerdy people who are even nerdier than me, they go and they post anonymously. And this was a fake media campaign to spread this as being a symbol of white supremacy. Like, that was 2 years ago, I think, something like that. We're still falling. People are still falling for the idea that this actually means white supremacy. So that's funny. But that's a little backstory just in case you didn't know what that was and what that's all about. Let's just jump a little bit through this article and see why the hashtag resistance is all up in arms over Twitter. Republican operative. Okay, so 2 words in and we're already getting some signs of propaganda here. Operative. What? Why can't you just say Xenabash, Republican Xenabash? Rested her hand on her arm, fingers closed into a circle as she sat behind Brett Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearing on Tuesday. And hashtag resistance Twitter, watching the hearings live and seeing her hand, saw a secret nefarious code. Bash was making the OK sign with her hand, it appeared. Several left-leaning Twitter users with large followings believed that Bash was promoting a symbol that means white power. Eugene Gu, I'll just go with Gu because it's funnier. G-U. It's probably, well, it's kind of funny if you say Jew too. So Jew, Gu, it's funny either way. I'll go with Gu. Eugene Gu, a doctor with more than 200,000 Twitter followers who's become a well-known hashtag resistance Twitter figure, tweeted that she was flashing a white power sign behind him. So what did he say? Let's see. Oh, they don't have his actual tweet in here? Okay. Gu's observation, this is the important part. 15,000 retweets. Now, I'm not much of a power Twitter user, so I'm not getting numbers like that. I don't even have that many followers, not even anywhere close to that many followers. 15,000 retweets. If something gets that much retweeting action, you can pretty much assume that it's a popular idea, right? Sorry for the sipping sounds. I'm not much of a coffee drinker here, inexperienced. 15,000 retweets. Okay, the video from another user that was embedded in Gu's tweet approached 4 million views. This is another good part. Liberal activist and author Amy Siskind, in a now deleted tweet, why did you delete it? Wrote that Bash's hand symbol should disqualify Kavanaugh from the Supreme Court. Now, Amy Siskind went on to actually propose an argument. So she gave an argument as to, why the hand symbol is bad or why it should disqualify him. So her argument, this is her argument. Try it for yourself, Siskind wrote of the hand gesture. If you watch the video, you'll see she held it in place for a long time. It's not a natural resting position. All right, so a couple things here. First of all, I am Spartacus, Cory Booker. That was pretty funny. The idea that we're trying to be sold here is that this is a white supremacist symbol. Now, there's no proof out there that that is a white supremacist symbol. So what is the argument that we're using here, that she's using to say that this is a white supremacist hand signal? Well, her strongest argument, get ready for it, guys. Her strongest argument is that it's not a natural resting position. That was my pen falling out of my hand because my muscles I lost the ability to control them. What she did was she rested her hand like this. like that, with her doing the white power symbol, just on her arm like that. That's her strongest argument for this being white supremacy. So this guy should be disqualified from running as the judge because that's not a natural resting position. That is the strongest argument that these people have against Kavanaugh at this point. What's up, Tara? Rebel Patriot. Life Road Toll. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Yes, notice the white supremacy board. So, you know, when you see this argument, and you see this article from the Washington Post, and you see the summary and the reaction on Twitter, 3 million, 4 million views on the video, 15,000 retweets about... Oh, the second occurrence, by the way, was when she just did this for 1 second. Let's watch the video. Go to the video. I don't know why I just yelled that at the wall. There's nobody over here. My producer used to be over there. Okay, here we go. Ready? No, it's a shorter clip than that. Where is it? Right here.
What they think.
Watch carefully. This is white supremacy infiltrating our highest court in the United States.
As
Watch.
a true idea that's dictated from above or by the government.
You see it?
And that
you missed it. She's texting someone on her phone. Okay, like this, texting someone on her phone. She's looking up.
True idea that's dictated
looking to the right, trying to like coordinate something, obviously, right?
From above. Or
something happens. She says, "Oh, okay." Like something happened over there. Like someone brought a glass of water over. She did that.
By the government.
And that was it. Clearly, we have white supremacists coming into the highest court of the office, right? The Supreme Court. It's being infiltrated by white supremacists. Clearly, that is enough evidence. That's all I need. Let's see. Why the new setup? Miles asks why the new setup. This is a new studio, Miles, and I learned the hard way. For any aspiring YouTubers out there, I learned the hard way that production value doesn't matter at all. Just put up a camera, put yourself in front of a blank wall, a white wall, with no high quality camera, no graphics, no transitions, nothing. Just put yourself, or if you have like a lot of collectible items behind you, something like that, you could do that too. But basically, production value makes zero impact on your subscribership, the amount of time that people watch your videos, etc., etc. So I minimized, and here we are. Now all we have is, it's me, the wall, and the white supremacy board. All right. I got my show notes on my shiny, brand new Galaxy Note 9. Let me pull these up here real quick. A lot of changes in the studio here. I'm pulling up my notes on this. So, at what point do we recognize this is white supremacy as being a conspiracy theory? I talked about conspiracy theories a couple shows ago, where the left, they love to call things conspiracy theories, while simultaneously pushing several conspiracy theories, just off the top of my head, the wage gap, the patriarchy, basically anything relating to men and women, Black Lives Matter, police brutality against black people, all police are racist. These are all conspiracy theories that don't get branded as conspiracy theories because the left is pushing them. This, being white supremacist, this is a conspiracy theory. Now, Washington Post actually goes on to say in this article that they actually go through and explain how this was started on 4chan, and then, but like Pepe the Frog, its repeated association with and use by white nationalists like Richard Spencer has imbued it with a new meaning, in addition to all of its other innocuous ones, making the symbol simultaneously a prank, a harmless gesture of approval, and an in-joke among wide ranges of right-wing personalities to anger liberals for their own amusement. So they're admitting that it has several different meanings. So, unless you have definitive proof, like she's wearing a Nazi pin on her jacket, anytime you associate this with being white supremacy over, any of those other options that you just listed, you're committing what's called mind reading. So apparently the premise of this is that you have the ability to read that person's mind, and you know exactly what they're thinking when they're doing that. And you're assigning the meaning to them based on what you want them to be doing. So you want the white supremacy to exist. So you say, oh, that's clearly white supremacy. She can't just be saying, oh, that's okay, thank you for bringing the glass of water over, or whatever it was, turning up the air conditioning. Thank you, okay. This always means okay. It always will. It always has, except for when you do it like on your pant leg or something like that. If you do this, then if someone looks at it, then you punch them. Stupid like high school game. And yes, they're still freaking out about Pepe the Frog, which is in and of itself a great example of how irrational the left really is. I still can't believe that they legitimately believe that a green frog cartoon is somehow a symbol of clandestine racism and white supremacy. But the Anti-Defamation League, luckily, they have some sense, and they have said that they don't consider this to be a hate symbol. So I just wanted to point out that ridiculous lunacy. Call that the weekly what the F. I'm going to censor myself a little bit there just for, YouTube monetization and stuff like that. But the weekly what the F, that is that right there. But also to point out the fact that they have no argument against Kavanaugh. So the other interesting thing is we saw protesters screaming in the hearings, right? Getting up and yelling and causing a ruckus, and then they go outside and then they get paid by some guy with a clipboard and an envelope. So what's that all about? Oh, well, for someone like me who's been to a lot of protests that are funded by large billionaire corporations like Media Matters, George Soros, that kind of thing, directly funded, not in like a hidden secret way. This kind of stuff's not really new to me. It's not really surprising that someone would get paid to go protest that. But it is interesting that you pay like 5 people $20 each, right? So it's $100. I have a $100 budget. How can I turn $100 into an effective national media campaign for my ideology? Just pay. I mean, I know it wasn't $20, but that's just an example. Pay 5 people $20, go in there and yell when they get kicked out, and give them $20, because that translates into the media pumping out these images of people screaming in the courtrooms. When you see someone screaming in a courtroom, even though they don't legitimately have, like a hatred or discontent towards that person, towards Kavanaugh, they don't care. They probably don't even know how to spell the guy's last name. They're just there because they're getting paid. They found the gig on Craigslist, and I've seen these on Craigslist. You can see them yourself. Go look on Craigslist. Paid protesters, AstroTurf. It's all there. They don't hide it. It's just right out there. So you go in there, it gets pumped out on the media. Now there's this perception that there's this widespread hatred or movement against Kavanaugh, right? Hashtag Stop Kavanaugh. For $100, I just created a national news story that there's this crazy huge resistance against Kavanaugh. Wow, how effective is that? I think it's a little, there's a little too much power in the media when you can do that, and you can selectively cover things like that to make it seem like the story is bigger than it actually is. But hey, that's the game, and they're playing it, so I'm not gonna, that's really smart. If I was starting a business, I would do the exact same thing for my business. I would market it in a way where it can easily go viral, and maybe I'll hire some actors to go in and yell in a court hearing. Genius. It's genius, but still, really, is it? It's kind of messed up. What's up, Karen? Welcome to the chat. Hunter, welcome, you guys. Francis, welcome in. Come on in. Hope you guys are comfortable. I'm actually drinking coffee today. So, on top of the protesters in the hearing, there were protests across the country for Stop Kavanaugh, hashtag Stop Kavanaugh. And again, same kind of thing. It's funded by the same groups that we saw behind the gun protests, the all these pro-abortion protests. The same groups doing the same stuff. So you kind of see the pattern, right? The pattern and the thing that we've been hearing. The whole reason behind Stop Kavanaugh is that, well, he's clearly a conservative / Republican leaning judge who, if he gets into office, there's a lot of variables here, right? A lot of ifs, but they have to paint the worst picture possible. Otherwise, you won't get a reaction out of people. So the worst picture possible is what? What does the left hold so near and dear to their hearts that if there was even a risk of losing it, they would go absolutely nuts and lose everything? What can they lose that has so much value? Well, the answer to that, yes, is Roe v. Wade. Karen brings it up right. Abortion, women's rights, women's health care. It's being rebranded. Instead of saying abortion, they're saying women's rights or women's health care. So anytime you hear those are euphemisms for abortion. Okay, abortion, women's rights, women's choice, women's health care. It's all the same thing. But there's a potential that he might try to get rid of those when he gets in. So that's the picture they're trying to paint. So knowing that, you have to ask, okay, well, why is that so important to them? Why is abortion, the ability for a woman to choose when to terminate a pregnancy, why is that so crucial? I'll give you a minute to think about that while I go turn off my air conditioning because it's too loud. I'd rather sweat profusely than have you guys be inconvenienced by the sound of a buzzing air conditioner. So their women's ability to control birth is at risk. Now, some interesting things about abortion. The whole birth process of having a child is completely basically from conception all the way up to child custody to divorce, even if you're married. Everything from point A to point B, A to Z. There's not just two steps. This is a long process. Everything in the whole entire system of reproduction, marriage, birthrights, it's all in the power, the power is in the hands of the woman. Every step of the way. Divorce court, family court, custody, birth control. Women have over 40 methods of birth control. Men have 2, and one of them is permanent. So they imagine now, we've seen a huge rise in the single motherhood rate, even though abortion has become more and more accessible, right? That's kind of interesting. The increase in birth control methods, plus more availability of abortions, and yet we have more single mothers. Why is that? How can single mothers afford to have kids? Also, marriage rates are going down and divorce rates are going up. This is weird. Is anyone else kind of seeing the bigger picture here? So men are getting shafted everywhere, but women are somehow able to supply their children, single parenthoods, with resources. Strange. Where are they getting the resources? From the government. Oh, so wait a second. hold on. I'm starting to connect the dots in my head. Kavanaugh wants to get rid of abortion. Abortion means government money going to women. Kavanaugh getting in equals less government money to women. Interesting. Because, yeah, if you listen to all the arguments against Kavanaugh, it's women's this, women's that, women's this, that. You know, women getting something from the government. That's what every argument against Kavanaugh can be broken down to. He's going to reduce, you can make a basic formula out of it, right? Kavanaugh, let's do it right here. Let's do some basic algebra. Get that one part of your brain working that we don't usually work with in politics, the logical part, right? So Kavanaugh equals, let's see, how to, less, oh, okay, no, negative government programs, money, government program, plus women. Help me out here. How does this go? We're trying to do some logic here. So the point is that this is a variable, right? Government programs. Kavanaugh's bad because government program X. Women's rights. Sensible gun control. Abortion. Roe versus Wade. Women's health care. So this is just a variable. That's the whole point. You can insert anything you want, but every argument has the exact same structure. Kavanaugh is bad because he's going to reduce government programs. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the perfect segue into the next subject. And that is Mr. Jim Carrey. That's right. The guy who was star of the movie called Dumb and Dumber is now lecturing us on politics and how the government should run our lives. So if you guys aren't aware, Jim Carrey went on to Bill Maher's show, Real Time, and they were talking about politics a little bit, you know, socialism and stuff like that. This is what Jim Carrey said, and we'll go over the quick little clip so you guys can see for context. Let's run the video. Now, you have to apologize. I'm using Breitbart as a source. I know I try not to use these kind of sites as my sources, but yes, it's true. I'm a white supremacist because I use Breitbart. But it's the only source I could find for the video, all right? Shut up.
The Republicans are running with the word socialism. They're trying to say...
They're trying to scare people.
Scare people.
It's communism. It's
Venezuela, Trump says. We're going to be living in Venezuela.
I grew up in Canada, okay? We have socialized medicine. And I'm here to tell you that this bullshit line that you get on all of the political shows from people is that it's a failure. The system is a failure in Canada. It is not a failure in Canada. I never waited for anything in my life. I chose my own doctors. My mother never paid for a prescription. It was fantastic. And I just got back from Vancouver, and I keep hearing this, like, Canadians are so nice. Canadians are so nice. They can be nice because they have health care. Because they have a government that cares about them. It doesn't say sink or fucking swim, pal.
Right.
Or you live in a box.
Yeah.
Wow, did you hear the audience just explode on that? What was the line that they exploded on? Because they have a government that cares about you. Is that what the people really want? The government really cares about you. Let's call this variable G. That's variable G for government. That's what they really want. But I think we can dig a little deeper, right? So first of all, just a little backstory on Mr. Jim Carrey. The government cares about you. Let's just stick to that point for 1 second. The government cares about you. Now, he mentions his mom and how she never had to pay for prescription. Okay, well, on the surface, that sounds right, right? That sounds pretty good. I would love not having to pay for any prescriptions either. If I had some kind of chronic illness. Capital G for big government. There you go. Perfect. I love it. John Deere coming in. I love it. But one thing you may not know is that Jim Carrey's mom was addicted to pain pills. Okay? Jim Carrey basically, and you could go into a whole philosophical discussion about whether or not his mom is the reason why he is the way he is today, because he had to be funny and energetic and he had to get attention from her somehow because she was out of her mind on pills all the time. So if the government is your drug dealer, okay, let's just keep filling in all the things that, the variable G is going to be representing. So I'll pull this back up. So I know that's not proper format, but deal with it. All right, you get the idea. The variable G can represent, in this situation, your drug dealer, because Jim Carrey's mom was getting a steady supply, pills poured down her throat by the government. Now, is that a good thing? Is that an example of the government caring about the people? I don't think so. Yes, Jim Carrey was homeless at a time. That's true, Tara. Which is sad. Nothing against the guy. He's massively successful, more successful than I am. But I don't think he's been in Canada for a long time. And if you read some stories, I've read plenty of stories of people who've had to flee to America for treatment, people who've had to wait 14, 15, 12, 10 months to get treatments for illnesses. That's a whole anecdotal rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. You're like, oh, well, this guy said he had to wait 8 months. I don't really, I'm not going to make that argument based off of anecdotes or anything like that, but people have had issues with the healthcare system. So, has the government of Canada been good to Jim Carrey's mom? I don't know. Also, something interesting. Not sure. Jim Carrey is rich, incredibly rich. We have an instance of another rich guy saying that, well, he said socialism. He said the line that we get told over and over by all the big media companies is that socialism is a failure and that's BS. It's BS that socialism is a failure. Now, he was referring specifically to socialism in Canada, but, that's also debatable. Socialism in general, though. First of all, everything that we hear regarding socialism, with him and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the segment was actually, earlier in the segment, Bill Maher was talking about how women are winning based on socialist platforms. So, again, why do we see women being linked to socialism? Women and socialism. Why does that go hand in hand? Has anybody else noticed the increased feminization of society today? Why is that? Everywhere you go, everything is so feminine-centric. Now, we're in a climate where you can incubate. We're in such a feminized climate where you can incubate an idea like socialism and actually be taken seriously. So, female candidates are winning on socialism. Well, socialism is basically turning the government into your parents, right? The provider is no longer your mom and your dad. And that's the main, again, linking back to what I was talking about earlier with the rise of abortions, the rise of birth control. Why are there still so many single parents? Because the government is becoming the parents. The government is taking everything over. It's providing for the people and making them dependent on it. The more people that are dependent on the government, the more power the government has. So, yeah, it's just another case of irony that we have a Hollywood elite rich guy who is preaching the gospel of socialism while not, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't given away all of his money. So, you know, people who are kind of preaching this gospel without actually taking any action, he could donate a bunch of money and save a bunch of, you know, poor kids, or feed, you know, send some kids to college, whatever it is. Why doesn't he? Why doesn't he set an example? That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone who preaches socialism never sets an example. They never actually do it. They just talk about how good it is. They trigger your emotions by saying that, oh, everyone deserves this. Don't you want a government that cares about you? They never make an actual argument for socialism. That's not an argument. Okay? Because their government actually cares about you, that's not an argument for socialism. Tell me why, if you, look, I'm open to the idea, but you have to sell it to me. Sell me why socialism is better. You haven't given me one legitimate reason why. The reasons so far have been so the government can care about you, which doesn't make any sense at all to me. I don't want the government to care about me at all. I want government to care about me zero. I want them to care about nothing that I do ever. Stay out of my business. Stay out of abortion. Stay out of marriage. Stay out of my drugs. Stay out of my health care. Yeah, health care. Where'd it go? Health care. Yeah. Stay out of all that stuff. Why would you want... Has anybody who's advocating for socialism ever been to the Department of Motor Vehicles? Their argument is, the government should help me. If I want help, I should be able to go to the government for help. Okay, well, about once a year, maybe twice a year, I need help with an address change or a new car registration. I need help with that. And every time I do try to get help with that, it's a terrible experience. Horrifyingly bad. Horrifyingly bad. Every time I experience it, I never want to experience it again, ever. So you're telling me you want the same people who run that to run your healthcare? Oh, that makes perfect sense. But no, the real reason is because it releases responsibility from these people. Socialism means that I don't have to change. Socialism means the game can change, okay? Because we're all players in this game. And when you suck at the game, you know, think of playing kickball in 3rd grade at lunch recess. I don't know if you guys had kickball. I don't know how young you guys, but I don't think they have kickball anymore because it's probably too violent and patriarchal. But back in my day, we used to play kickball on recess at lunch. Some of the kids sucked at kickball. And what happens when those kids suck at playing kickball? They blame the game. They say the game sucks. They say the teams are unfair. They say it's unfair. They say the pitcher's throwing the ball too fast. They point to everything outside of themselves and they attribute blame to everything. So that way, the responsibility isn't on them to get better at kickball. Okay? Now, this is a convenient strategy that I've used in my head to formulate these ideas and help simplify them, but literally everything that you see out there in the political sphere today, from, you know, Trump, this hearings, all the little micro interactions that you see with people, everything that you see can be boiled down. Just think of it in terms of elementary school, okay? Every interaction that you see can be, just simplify it and think about how that looked in elementary school. Because human nature doesn't change between, you know, age 9 and 25. You still follow the same basic principles, same basic social principles. Everything you see can be boiled down to that. So this is my, you know, I'll bring this up in the future and tell you how I relate this back, but don't let these situations become too complex for you, okay? This is a case, Jim Carrey and all these people who are advocating for socialism, this is a case of the kid sucking at kickball, and he wants the game to change instead of him, because everyone else is better than him at kickball. What does that mean in real life? Everyone else is making more money. Everyone else is more successful in life. Everyone else didn't have terrible parents, or whatever it is, whatever makes each individual socialist a loser in life. Because let's be honest, to be a socialist, you're a loser. You lost somewhere in life. You've never actually seen a rich guy practicing socialism, okay? Because why would you do that? It just means that you give out your money and the things that you earn to other people. The people who advocate for socialism are the ones who... So here's a visualization, okay? So this is a status, income, whatever it may be. And this is where the socialists are, right? They're below the average, or below what they perceive to be their oppressors, okay? Because that's how they frame everything: oppressors versus the oppressed. So they're down here, they're oppressed. Let's just, status, income. You can replace that with any kind of indication of, value, basically. The people that they want, the people who are good at softball, that are good at kickball, they're up here, right? In order for them to get on the same level as these people, you have to change the rules, because they can't improve themselves. They can't go up. They cannot mobilize themselves to go up in society and increase their self-worth and their self-value. They can't do that. So that's out. So you have to bring this one down. You have to bring the people who are good at everything down to their level. And that's what you do by socializing healthcare, by fighting the wage gap, by doing all of these. That's what socialism does. It brings down, it lowers these peaks, and it flattens them. So you have nothing. It's just a straight flat line, and everybody is on the same line, and it all looks like a disaster. Like this, it just looks terrible because it's a mess, because the government tried to do it. And so that's what you have. Only the line won't be here. The line won't be this high. It'll be way down here. Okay? So whereas you once had this variability, you had some of this going on, you had some lines up here, down here, it all gets smashed into a game that's fair for everyone. So that everyone, even if you suck at kickball, you're just as good as everybody else now. Because we have a kickball affirmative action. So that if you trip on your way to the first base, you get a freebie. So you get to make it to first base anyway. And if the guy who's really good gets a double, well, you can only get one base per kick max. So he only goes to first base too. Okay? So that's my third grade analogy of what socialism is. I hope you enjoyed that. Cuck Theory 101. See, the whiteboard, the white supremacist board, it allows me to kind of visualize those ideas a little better for you guys. Then it makes it feel like a classroom. WinConfig, you're going to bed. All right, see you, buddy. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Socialism is like a good song with dynamics compressed to death. Hey, John Deere, that's true. That's exactly what it is. And I'm not going to get into the nuances of compression in audio, because I would probably make half the audience exit the arena. But you're absolutely true. Me and you know what that means. We know what that means. Socialism is tricking the lower educated masses into annihilating their own society to steal what the productive have under the guise of fairness. Yes, the black box coming in hot with a hot take. That's exactly what it is. It's theft. Yeah, the way that you get this line, the way that you equalize everything out, this is equality. Equality. So we can all be equal down here at the bottom. This is equality. And in order to get here, you have to steal. You have to coerce people, and you have to steal from people up here. So that's how you get down there. So you're right. Karen says, I had to work for a private company dealing with the government. It was horrible. I had to put on progress reports. Still waiting to hear from caseworker or whatever. Yeah, the government is not very efficient at anything, really, except for war. No, they're not even efficient at that, really. We're still occupying all those Middle Eastern countries. Not very efficient. Hey, blessed to be here. Appreciate that. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, so I'm gonna put all of my, so currently none of my live streams are publicly available. Well, they're available for my patrons on patreon.com/weeklynarrative. My 2-second plug out of an hour. But I think I'm gonna upload them all in audio format to like iTunes and podcast places, right? So you guys can listen to them as podcasts to make them more accessible to you. Also, some crazy exciting news. I just got an email right before the show started. I'm super excited to announce that I have a guest. I'm gonna try and line him up for next week, but he is an author of one of the probably the most proficient, profound was the word I was looking for. Not proficient, but it will make you proficient. Rollo Tomasi, author of the Rational Male series, often called the godfather of the red pill. The dude is a genius at anything dealing with intersexual relationships, right? So men and women. Now you notice, just even today, it seems like every single time I'm talking about something, we're talking about it in the perspective of male, female, or male versus female, or, one particular perspective on gender. And I kept asking myself, why do I end up talking about this every single time I do a show? It's because the media and everyone controlling the narrative right now, educational institutions, everything, they have feminized all of the narratives, right? So that's why Stop Kavanaugh, hashtag Stop Kavanaugh, everything you see, it's all feminized narratives. The rise of feminism, abortion stuff, everything is feminized now. It's everywhere. So I'm going to have Rollo Tomasi on next week or the week after. We'll schedule it out. Stay tuned on Twitter for updates on that. And I'm going to have him give me his expert opinion. And we're just going to discuss more of from a political perspective, how and why the feminine imperative, that's a little seed for our discussion right there, that term feminine imperative, how that's controlling politics, and why I have to talk about it every single show. Literally every single show I've talked about female this and feminism that and abortion, intersectionalism. Yes, Rebel Patriot, that is his pen name. But yeah, that's it, guys. That was basically an hour. Oh, well, actually, it was a little short. But because of the coffee, I got an hour in 49 minutes. But yeah, we will Fight Club, a generation of men raised by women. Yeah, the whole dynamic, sexual dynamics, it fascinates me. One of the most common things that I kind of chuckle at is how you hear these feminists talk about how we're living in a patriarchy, when literally every single statistic that you can point to indicates the exact opposite, right? We live in a world that is tailor-made by women in almost every single way. LGBT News says everyone gets a participation award in socialism, awarded with the ability to participate in rat eating and dumpster raiding. Yes, that's true. That's exactly what socialism is. Why coffee this late, Tara? Well, I have like coconut oil in here too. I had to get a coconut oil delivery system, and also I'm going to go to the gym in about an hour. So Karen says, off topic, did you read the article on Colette about the research mathematician whose research paper on a Darwinian theory was pulled from publication? I think I know which one you're talking about. So I think it was Brown University or somebody released a study saying that, what was it? It was, again, it was men and women gender thing. Man, I can't remember what it was, but rapid onset gender dysphoria. It basically, the premise of the paper was that, now hold your horses for this one, because it definitely wasn't the subject of my first video a year ago or anything, but transgenderism may be influenced by social media and by other people. Kind of a novel idea. Wow, huh? So, yeah, the idea behind the paper was that as soon as kids hit puberty and they experience an increase in access to social media, they magically become transgender at a rate 70 times higher than that of the normal transgender rate. 70 times higher. So, you know, it's kind of a... Obviously, it was attacked by actual transgender people probably didn't care about it, but the trenders, the ones who were being called out by the results of the study, they were a little upset that their fashion trend got called out. But I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that was a different one, Karen. But I have to look into that one. Quillette does publish a lot of good stuff. If you guys aren't reading Quillette, I'd recommend taking a look at that. For sure. They publish a lot of stuff that nobody else will, and at much greater depths. But yeah, transgenderism has become a choice at this point. Well, that's a good topic for me to ask Mr. Tomasi about maybe next week. So if you guys have questions, get them ready, because we're going to be doing this live, okay? A live discussion. Have your questions ready. I'm going to have some questions for him. I can't think of anybody else better to ask. So that's it. Be ready. Prepare yourself. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Jeremy from The Weekly Narrative. Patreon.com/Weekly Narrative if you want. Twitter.com/Weekly Narrative if you want. Like and share the video. Subscribe if you're not. Just at least like it so we can fight the YouTube algorithm. All right. See you guys.